enduring hardships, the tears of pain I shed today will be the tears of joy I shed tomorrow. I'm Coach mjdtiger, certified life coach and mentor, and we are on this journey together to find peace, passion, and purpose by enduring hardships and not getting knocked down and staying there, but to rise and to be more than we were the moment before and to grow in the next moment. And we can do that by focusing on our self-love, self-respect, self-control, and to bravely and boldly embrace who we are unconditionally. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up. How are you feeling? How are you feeling in your mind? How are you feeling in your body? How are you feeling in your heart? How are you feeling in your soul? Taking a moment each day to think in silence and to address each of these areas is a daily healthy practice that will lead you to your passion and your purpose and to balance you out every single day. When we ask ourselves through mind, body, heart, and soul how we are feeling, we get the answers we need and we know we need to focus on. How are you feeling? Trust yourself. Trust that you have it within you to get through the next moment. Trust that whatever is beyond your control, whatever is beyond the reach and the scale of where your mind, your body, your heart, and your soul can endure in this moment, trust that what's beyond you doesn't matter. What's behind you doesn't matter. What matters is this moment. Trust that you are strong enough to endure the next moment, the next obstacle, the next test, the next mountain, the next volcano. Trust yourself that you are making the right decisions and that you will stand tall and bravely and boldly endure the consequences of those decisions. Trust yourself that you are more than what your limited beliefs are telling you. Trust yourself that you are capable of being in a loving, healthy, non-toxic relationship. Trust yourself that you are everything you know you were born to be. Trust yourself that you will go further than you ever imagined through discipline, self-love, and self-control. You are here now. Trust yourself. Wheat Horizons, Episode 14, The Point of No Return. And we continue this build-up of preparing to face down what I call the mountains and volcanoes. And as we continue to dwell in the valley, which is what I term to be in real life terms in our everyday lives would be our version of peace, joy, happiness within ourselves. And an extended period of time where we are creating reflections within ourselves, where we're using introspection, we're going into our memories, we're going into our data banks, we're trying to feel how our mind, body, heart, and soul is actually responding to whatever events we have just endured and thrived through. Behind us, we have overcome a previous valley, a previous mountain, a previous volcano, maybe multiple mountains, maybe multiple volcanoes. And right now, we just need a little peace. But just like anything in life, any extended period of time of peace, it has a shelf life. It will not last forever. And we know this. So there comes a point where we have to start moving forward, as we talked about in the previous 3 podcasts. If you haven't listened to the previous 3 episodes to this one, I highly recommend it, because it's been an upward trek, so to speak, to get to where we are now, where we essentially are walking. The time has arisen for you to start moving. And if you have found enough courage within yourself to take that first step towards the new mountains, the new volcanoes, then you know you will end up back in a peaceful place in another valley. And in that valley, you'll be an even stronger person, a more knowledgeable person, a more empathetic person, a more patient person, a more understanding person. You would embrace the people around you that you devalued. You will value them more. The things around you that you devalued, you will value them more. The places around you that you devalue, you will value them more. And that is what life is all about. It's about ascension. It's about augmenting who you are, what you have, where you are. And timing is everything. You don't have time to wait forever for things to be perfect in order to start moving in the right direction. And that is when you start moving, you do not want to go backwards. You want to head forwards, and you want to keep that momentum going. In whatever direction you're going, you want to keep moving. It's okay to slow down. Hell, you can even stop for momentary periods of time. And I say very momentary, meaning, and again, reality, maybe you need a few days to recharge the batteries. So you chill out and get some R&R. It's perfectly fine, because you're still moving. The momentum is still there. You just need to recharge the batteries. That's entirely different than saying, I'm going to sit on the couch and do nothing for 3 months. It's a completely different thing. The whole point of me using these analogies and metaphors of the valley, the mountain, and the volcano is that if you think about these things in terms of everyday life, it will get you off the couch. It will get you back into being disciplined with your diet, or it will help you figure out how to be a better person so your relationships are better, so you can augment who you are mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, so you can gain more intelligence, you can get more experience, you can do more things in life. I've been studying a lot about the human condition. I find it very interesting anyway, the human condition, the psychology of how we actually are as human beings. And one of the things that I have found as I've gotten older is that the more diverse knowledge I've gained, the easier it is for me to keep moving forward. Because the more knowledge you gain in different areas in life that may not particularly pertain to you, it actually serves you better, because you're able to interact with more people, more diverse people, not just a small segment of people in the world. And I've always been that way. But as I get older, it's starting to make me want to research more. And I've been digging into that. And I've been finding that when you're in the valley and it's time for you to take your steps forward, you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know the things you're going to acquire. And you definitely don't know where you're going to end up. Those are things that are out of our control. We can't control everything. And if we can't control everything, then what the hell can we control? Ourselves. We can control ourselves. And in order to do that, we have to be in control in a lot of different situations. One of those situations is meeting new people, being put in situations where you're going to work alongside new people, being put in situations where you're going to work in places or be involved in places or visit or explore new places that you've never been to before. Or maybe they're places you've been to forever and they're bringing up bad memories. Maybe you have to interact with people that you didn't want to interact with anymore, and it's bringing up some trauma. Maybe you have to deal with some things, some material things that you didn't think you would ever have to deal with again, and it's bringing up some PTSD. These are things we have to look forward to because they are inevitable. It will happen. It'd be foolish to say when you go on any trek, any path, any journey, whatever it is that you want to call it, it'd be foolish to go on these journeys, these treks, these paths, without thinking some sort of resistance is going to hit us. And it's going to be the type of resistance that we fear the most. That's just how life works. Whatever you're afraid of, it will find you. That is what makes taking that first step so damn brave. Because you know you're stepping towards what you fear the most. You just don't know what it is yet. You don't know when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Are you going to have people with you when this happens? Are you going to have any support? Are you going to be alone? How are you going to be financially? How are you going to be physically? How are you going to be mentally, spiritually? What's going to happen? We don't know. That's why when you start walking, it's so important that you keep the momentum so you can push through it strongly. Whatever that is, that obstacle, that resistance that's going to pop up. If you have forward momentum, you're going to go right through it. Now, that resistance is going to hurt. It's going to test you. It won't be, you're not going to be running through toilet paper, but you're going to run through it. It may take you to stop and analyze where the cracks are in whatever this obstacle resistance is, but you will get through it. That's for damn sure. You will get through it. And we know that because we always get through it. You, me, we get through it. We get through it because we're strong. We get through it because we're brave. We know what we have to do. There is no saying we can't do it because we're letting down too many people besides ourselves. Now, it's bad enough we're letting ourselves down by saying we can't do something, but think about the people who look up to us to be strong. We're letting them down when we say we can't do something. That's unacceptable. We can do it. And we can do it together, but we can do it alone. The important thing is that we're doing it. And that is something that every person has to go through. Whether you're alone or not, we all have those things that we fear that are going to pop up. We have to deal with them. And it sucks. It's tedious. It makes us procrastinate, makes us doubt ourselves. That negative self-talk starts to stick in our brains. That story we tell ourselves about we're not good enough and we're not strong enough. This isn't the right time. This isn't the right person. This is the right thing. This isn't the right place. We can go on and on and on about all these things. And in the end, what happens is that you look down and guess what's happening? Your feet are still moving. Your heart is still beating. Your mind is still thinking. Your soul is still growing. That is the most important thing. So the important thing is that we keep moving. We just keep the feet going. And again, when we need to stop and take a break, we do that. We recharge the batteries, analyze through detachment where we're at, assess the situation, and figure out what's the best course of action when we start moving again. At some point, you're going to look back and realize you're definitely moving out of the valley and you're moving back towards your new mountains. And they're far off. You still have time. Because again, we freak ourselves out by thinking, there's not enough time. I don't have everything in place yet. What if this happens? What if this happens? Anxiety alert. You can't control any of that. All of that's in the future. Anxiety will be one of the fears that will be one of the constants that we all deal with. And again, everybody has different things that they're dealing with, but everybody to some extent some even 2-3%, even the people say, I'm not afraid of anything, I never get anxiety. Bullshit. Yes, you do. We all get it. It's just how we handle it. There's people who tell me all the time that I never get anxiety. Yes, I do. There's people that tell me that I don't get stressed out. Yes, I do. Just like everyone else. The difference is I like to figure out ASAP why I'm stressed out, why my anxiety is triggered, and I try to deal with it ASAP, and I don't want it lingering on again for more than a few days. Because when that happens, I know where I've been before. My anxiety leads me to dark places where I get into depressions, and thank goodness I've actually figured out how to deal with that. As soon as I start dipping into one of those dark little, what I call mini depressions, and Tim Ferriss is one of my favorite people on the planet. If you haven't checked out Tim Ferriss, I highly recommend one of my top 3 books I've ever read, Tools of Titans. And it's all these different people that he's had on his podcast, and he just dwindles all the conversations down to just the best fragments of those conversations, and he puts them in this book. And there's just so many good tidbits and tips, just random, from Arnold Schwarzenegger to anybody you can think of, all these moguls and actors and athletes and just all these different people that just give all this really great insight and people you never heard of before. And they all say pretty much the exact same thing, that their anxiety has led them to a dark place. They've had to figure it out. And from that, they have learned how to build success off of it. Because it's real easy to think that because you go into a mini depression, that something's wrong with you. This is what society has gotten us to at this point with social media. You look on everybody's lives are perfect. The people who do talk about this stuff seem to have a lot of money and they're doing it. And it's like, okay, but that's just the algorithm of social media showing you these top people. There's a lot of people. Again, I've been diving deep into this, and I really will not stop diving into this. I like to see normal people dealing with normal life problems. And again, Tim Ferriss went through. Again, if you don't know who he is, I won't spend a whole bunch of time talking about Tim Ferriss, but one of the most unlikely people to ever, you would think, once you find out about this guy, that he went through a deep depression and almost took his life. And he still, till this day, on his podcast, there'll be some triggers, and he'll bring people on, and they'll work through exercises together, all these different meditation types, and you can feel him and see him doing these exercises, struggling with not wanting to go too far down the rabbit hole with some of these things, where you go into yourself to the point where you start bringing back up repressed memories, and you start bringing back up anxiety, and that depression starts to come up. It's okay to know that is there, but to start to tap into those energies again, once you figure out how not to tap into it in a healthy, positive way, where it's not, you're not masking it. Again, you don't want to just push things down into the ground and act like they're not there. They're still there. But that type of mindset is what gets you over the hump. Like for me, knowing that I can deal with any little mini depression that I get into, and even the worst case scenarios, the worst things can happen to me, and I know I'm going to be fine. And not only do I know I'm going to be fine when bad things happen to me, with things that I would fear, which for me, having the loss of people is one of the biggest things for me. Having my father die when I was 14 years old, the fear of loss of people that are important to me is huge. It's one of the reasons why I identify with Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars. He's my favorite movie character of all time. He's Darth Vader. He suffered from the same thing. His fear of loss led him to the dark side. He ended up redeeming himself, spoiler alert, but that's one of the reasons why I identify with that character. And like Tim Ferriss, once you learn how to deal with your anxieties and your fears, when you look down and your feet keeps moving, while all this stuff that normally would stop you, these fears and anxieties and these mini depressions and darkness, you realize that's just stuff, just things that happen to everybody. I'm able to take care of these things in real time, And yes, I may have to stop for a few days again to recharge the batteries and get things rebalanced out, but they don't put me permanently, in a place where for prolonged periods of time, I'm incapable of doing what I know I should be doing, which is getting up and moving with purpose, answering the call of my life every single day, not being ruled by fear like it's a dictator. It's things like that that pushes us towards the next step, when we can look up at that mountain and say, whatever's on those mountains and beyond that on those volcanoes, whatever all these obstacles are going to be, this resistance that I'm going to get from people, places, and things in the future, I know I am capable now of getting over this, because if I just go ahead and glance back at me, I've already done it. I've done versions of these things in the past. These are going to be new obstacles, but I know whatever these obstacles are, the resistance, I can handle these. I can handle them because I am in a place where I now trust myself. I now feel strong. I now feel that I am past the point of no return. And that is the important part. Once you start moving, there is no turning around and saying, let me redo this. Let me run back to the spot where I took the first step, re-energize myself, and I want to redo. Can't do it. Let's do an exercise. Try to redo 5 minutes ago the exact same way. If you tried to attempt that, you know that failure was written all over it. It's impossible to recreate the past. Now, let's try another exercise. Try to create what you think you're going to be doing in 5 minutes exactly the same way. It's hard to do that because you don't know what you're going to do in 5 minutes. Now, we could say, hey, I can recreate what I did 5 minutes ago. I can look ahead 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. It's a 10-minute swing. Now try this same exercise by replace the 5 minutes with 5 days. It is extremely hard to do. Mainly because you have to be in the same mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual state that you were the previous 5 days and where you believe you're going to be 5 days from now, without having known anything that's going to happen in between in regards to things that we cannot control. And even in those little 5-minute swings, if we do that enough times, there are going to be things that disrupts that 5 minutes. We all know that, especially if you have children. If you have children, you know, trying to do the same thing for 5 minutes swing, if they're around you, is very hard. Trying to replicate it, it's almost impossible, especially during the day. You might get away with this at night when everyone's sleeping, but we're talking about, a cheap exercise here. But obviously we're going to focus on the 5-day swing there. You cannot control that. So the point of no return means we have to commit to these steps now. We have to commit to the point of no return. We have to commit to the fact that every time we take another step, that is another point of no return. We can't go back and just keep redoing the steps. You will go nowhere. What is the point of momentum in the first place? What is the point of moving forward in the first place? Is to reach a destination. And even if you're not reaching a destination, there's still purpose in walking wanderlessly. Wanderlust is what a lot of people call it, obviously. You can wander around all the time. There's still purpose in that. There's purpose in not having purpose when you think of it that way. The people who you call them vagabonds, they just travel around. If that's what they want to do, that's their purpose. You don't always have to have a destination. In fact, we can break everything down, as I love to do, into its simplest components, and you could say every step you take is a new destination. Every step you take, if you stopped and said, hey, I made it here. If you said, hey, I'm going to walk 8 steps over there. If that's your goal and you walk those 8 steps and you arrive, guess what you did? You arrived at your destination. We overthink this stuff as human beings. It's very simple. It's what do you want and how do you achieve it? What are you willing to push through? What are you willing to endure to get to where you want, and how far away are these goals from you. Either way, 8 steps, 80,000 steps, there's always going to be a point of no return of you went far enough where you might as well just go ahead and keep going. What is the point of getting to step 8 and stopping and saying, you know, I got 2 more steps to go to get to my 8 steps over there, but I'm going to stop and turn around and start over. What is the point? You might as well just take the extra 2 steps and just land there. I mean, maybe there's something on those last 2 steps that scares the crap out of you. Step 7, you're like, I can't take another step closer to this thing. It's gonna get me. It's okay. It's not gonna get you. Just get over there and deal with it when you get there. Just get there. Just deal with it when you get there. And when you get there, look around and say, whoa. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Whatever was gonna get me, it was there, but I'm all right. Let's take another 8 steps. And another 8 steps, and we just keep going. The point of no return is not a punishment. It's not something that you should be afraid of. It is something that is a milestone. And again, the milestones that we can say are milestones anytime we want. That is the great part about our own individual treks, is that at any point we could celebrate whatever milestones we want to celebrate. They're ours to do that with. Now, when we're with other people, we can celebrate together. We hit milestones together. In relationships, we do it all the time. We call them anniversaries. We're individual people, but we hit milestones together to celebrate our relationships. And it's really important. It's a beautiful thing. It's always going to be a focal point for each and every one of us when we're moving along and we're on these treks, to not allow the weight of life to discourage us from enjoying the trek, no matter how arduous it is. We have to find aspects of our path every single day. We have to find aspects to enjoy it, to make sure that these positives aren't just positives for no reason. They're positives that bring us joy. Or otherwise, what is the point of doing it? What is the point of making any decision if you end up miserable anyway? Wouldn't it make more sense to make the decisions that you know are going to make you happy? To stay within things and keep things that are of value to you without jettisoning the wrong things. And we do this all the time as human beings. We get a little full of ourselves. We let the ego get in there. We start saying, you know what? I don't need this. I want to get that. And we just get on a roll. And the next thing you know, we realize we based a lot of the decision making on temporary ego-filled, wants and desires that serve us right there in the moment, but we weren't looking long term. And these things is what strips away of the joy, because now we have to deal with the consequences of it. Trusting ourselves is huge. If we can't trust ourselves with every step that we take, what is the point? If you don't know who you are and what you want with each step, what is the point? It is vital that we know exactly why we are taking these steps. It is vital that we have the people around us that bring us joy and happiness, truly do, and not devalue them, not devalue the things that we have acquired that serve us, not to devalue the scenery around us, where we are. Extremely important. Either way, as long as we keep moving, we will be fine, but we have to find the positives, and we will. With every step, we will. We just have to focus on the positives. When the resistance comes, when the obstacles come, we know there are positives laced within them, and we will use them to make sure that each step we take purposeful but enjoyable. The point of no return is not a punishment. It is a gift. That means we are moving forward. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up.